The question that the community has posed is, can Destiny 3 be successful with what they've done with Destiny 2? They've alienated a lot of the community. They've leaned more into the hardcore. Can they bring everybody back in a celebration? Now, I have a theory that if with the Armory and the subsequent DLCs, they bring back everything from D1, we can carry that over to D3, and they don't have to do a Scorched Earth reset.
Now, when you say everything, are you talking like raids as well and all that stuff? Or are you just talking like armor and weapons?
I'm talking weapons and armor and such.
Oh, okay.
To acquire. Raids would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, me either. I mean, but I mean, like, to Datto's point, in a way, like, I feel like that's some of what's happening in a way, and it's kind of good and bad, because when they bring it back, especially if they don't name it the same, but it looks the same, it's kind of dubbed as a reskin.
Exactly.
So then it turns into this, like, oh, well, you brought it back, but it's kind of not really much different. I will say that I think the perk variety, if there was some way to bring it back and create new perks, that is something that I think if they were able to do that in a way that was really meaningful, because like you said, you're chasing a few amount of perks right now, more so almost than the weapons.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Datto? How could they make Destiny 3 successful? And I'll find where the question was from.
I mean, that's
Ma
a huge...
Wood.
That's a
Ma
no pressure.
Wood
No, let me just think about
said,
that one.
Ma Wood's specific question was, what can we do to ensure D3 launch doesn't turn out like D2 launch? And then there was a Fisher, John Fisher said, how do people deviate from the negative stigma Destiny created with year one of Destiny 2 timeline and continue to establish a better environment many of us hardcore fans live in, but to extend its reach out to the casual audience and beyond? This is what Activision's struggling with, Bungie's struggling with. What are your thoughts? It's a loaded question.
That's the billion-dollar question right there.
Elevator, 60 seconds,
it's
go.
just like, I mean, people have been burned on this game a lot. I talked about this when Activision kind of talked about they were disappointed with Forsaken sales. Also, I've seen a lot of people say like, oh, Activision was disappointed with Forsaken. No, they said sales,
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's a very big difference. Very big difference. People have been burned a lot. They were burned on Destiny 1 launch, maybe sort of burned on that next Dark Below DLC. Then Destiny 2 comes out, and people kind of got burned on that. And then Curse of Osiris came out, and that was, eh.
I think Curse of Osiris was the real rub, personally.
Yeah.
D2 launch, most people were happy with until they got into late game.
Right.
Right? Then they kind of like ran out of things to do, and they realized it was fairly light on overall content.
And what we would say is the hardcore felt that way, because we had a bunch of people in our office who and again, Steve and I talk about this with Destiny 2, we label people hardcore, casual. There's a couple other labels, and like people kind of are in between those groups, but there's a lot of people who got into Destiny 2 year one and really liked it, but they did not approach it from a, I'm going to come back week to week, experience it and leave. So.
Right.
But I interrupted what you were saying.
Oh.
Sorry, please continue.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I how do you bring back people a third, a fourth time into this franchise? People are not going to be willing to just drop another $60. All I ever hear about this game on the internet is how much money it costs for people to actually get a game that's worthy of being the game, right? That's all I ever hear. So I don't know if you really bring back that super wide audience without first making sure that the game is in a really good state. And that's kind of what Forsaken is right now. And they need to keep building on that and make sure that people are happy. The dedicated audience is happy, because that dedicated audience will try to pull people in from the outside to come join them. I think making the game free, the base game free on PC was a very good move.
Yeah.
I think they should just do that everywhere. Just make it free, make the base game free for every platform.
Where's the Xbox love? Xbox, it's never been free on. It hasn't even really been discounted that much. Like they had a discount for a while with Humble Bundle, maybe.
Yeah.
That might have been the PC version. Yeah, just support Xbox also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Mike N elaborated. He said, not what Destiny 3 should have, but whether it should exist at all. What about that concept of staying in the Destiny 2 engine and continuing to evolve from where we're at?
No, well, I'll tee you up. That was, we talked about this a little bit last week. Steven and I were saying how it was a console launch. And so from that standpoint, it's really hard to think of like the technology being able to evolve to a point that, you know, even Sony yesterday canceled their PlayStation appearance. So we're thinking, oh, PS5, is that in the works? How do they do that and bridge it over multiple years over the next 3 to 5? I think that's difficult. So I don't know if they can really do that now.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is going to come down to is progress going to carry over? Like, what from Destiny 2 is actually going to matter in Destiny 3? I think that's another thing that people are scared of, is they don't want to hop in, maybe halfway through Destiny 2 at this point, level all their stuff up and get invested, and then it's wiped again, right? Because what did we get really from Destiny 1 carrying over our Destiny 1 characters into Destiny 2? Like an emblem, or I don't even remember.
Shaq says he remembers you, I think.
Yeah.
Like I don't even remember what we got. So
And I moved the PC, so I lost it all anyway.
right, same.
That too.
Yeah.
So are you saying that you are a fan of keeping everything for Destiny 3?
See, I'm kind of both ways. Like I would like if things like Triumph Score and those kind of achievement things kind of carried over, and just the ability to kind of show your history in the game. I like that. But I also don't mind like having those fresh starts. Like when I played World of Warcraft and a new expansion comes out, it's nice because you just get to drop all of your stuff into a pit, you cover it up, and you start getting all the new stuff. And to me, that's fun. Other people, not so much. Other people like to hang on to anything that they can. And that all depends on what kind of player you are.
Yeah.
I think the overwhelming majority would prefer to hang on to their stuff. So, yeah, does Destiny 3 need to exist? Maybe for some sort of technical or networking reason it does, but for a content reason, maybe not. But it's certainly sexier from a marketing standpoint to put a big old 3 on there.
Yeah.
Than just like Destiny, name of next expansion.
Yeah.
I think Destiny 3 will launch, and that's going to be the last thing they develop for Destiny by Bungie. I don't know if they'll spin off the series after that, but it is a 10-year franchise, and Destiny 3 and the tail support after Destiny 3 launches would bring them right to the end of that life cycle that they agreed to with Activision. Now, we already know they have an agreement with NetEase,
I think. Yeah,
I couldn't remember. But they're developing something over there, so maybe the team's ready to transition onto that. We don't know for sure, but I think Destiny 3 will be the last one. And the way it could be successful is the book mechanic that they've developed, and they haven't refined yet since the launch of the book, where you can pull your weapons and gear out because you can't pull out random rolls. They don't know what to do with that yet.
Yeah.
Once they fix that, that's what they need to bring into D3. So you never feel like you lose everything. So that way you're still stripped, but you don't feel like you've been robbed of your old stuff.
Yeah, your history.
Exactly.
People like that history.
Exactly. So come up with some new weapon archetypes, and cool new weapons and things that we can chase after in Destiny 3, but let us have that security blanket of our old stuff. Because like if I lose all my progress again, I'm just like, it'll detract so much.
Yeah.
I think that's some of the motivational thing that's happening right now is people do psychologically think that that's going to happen in the background, and it's actually deterring them from grinding out things, I think, in Destiny 2.
That's how I feel.
Okay, there you go. So I was wondering that. But in the same token, it's weird because, I think they've already kind of struggled enough with the meta already. You're saying you want all the weapons to be available in Destiny 3 that you had in Destiny 2?
Yes. And so let's look at what's going on with Destiny.
It's all
2,
order.
Right? No, I know, but they can just put it all in a book and say, you're going to pull out 5, right? But you feel like they recognize the work that you put in Destiny 2 and it progresses forward if they use that model.
But imagine actually catering the game to everything that Destiny 2 had when you're trying to start, not scorched earth, but create new raids or new this based on stuff that people haven't acquired yet. And
you make better gear and weapons and make the old stuff obsolete, but you still make people feel safe because, oh, yeah, I can still pull this out. It's like what happened with this new Forsaken launch, right? There were a few weapons that we pulled out, like Inaugural Address was one that like everybody used. But realistically, how much year 1 stuff do you use? We probably have our God roll. What's the grenade launcher?
is 1.
Play the game.
Play the game.
Yeah.
Maybe you still check out Inaugural.
Oh, but those got random roll
Datto,
adjusted.
0.
Yeah.
I keep telling myself I'm going to pull out the midnight coup every once in a while. I never do.
Yeah.
So I think I effectively use 0. Play the game. Yeah, it doesn't count because I have a random roll now.
Yeah.
Yeah, 0.
Time War Inspire. I still do Time War Inspire, and I still use Wise and Rebuke because it's basically Plan C. But all I'm getting at is I don't know how they would be able to do that, creating a brand new weapon meta and trying to factor in all of those. But I'm a hoarder. I'm not saying I disagree with you. I also would like that. I'm just trying to think from a development standpoint, how is that actually possible?
You put them in a book, like...
I don't know. I mean,
let's be honest. A lot of those weapons are just reskins. We were talking about weapon archetypes
brought back,
earlier.
yeah.
Shadow Price and Vanquisher from D1 they're both assault rifles with tweaked variables, right?
Right.
And maybe a different geometry. So that's
Yeah.
a different geometry thing. But if all of those weapons end up being what's a good AR in D2? I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Tiger Spite.
Yeah.
Tiger Spite. So like that's the archetype for those.
I think I probably agree with you on the exotic front. If the exotics maybe carried over, because a lot of those exotics came back anyways. I don't know how you'd actually do it for all the legendaries and feel like you could actually balance the game for PvE and PvP if that's indeed what they're going to try to do.
Okay, maybe not all. They have the stats to back it up. They can be like 5% of players actually use that when they got it.
Yeah.
So like a lot of that stuff would just slide into the ocean of lost data. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I feel like my thought is taking up a lot of the conversation. What about you, Steven? What would you like to see in D3?
Like I said in previous episodes, I don't mind us starting over as long as Datto said we get like our triumphs, grimoire score, stuff like that. But in terms of gear, for me, it's exciting to start as a guardian with nothing and getting all that gear. Like I don't want to like load up and have my nation of beasts already. Like I kind of like that fresh start. And I know, like Datto said, it's not a popular opinion. I think
No, yeah, it's definitely.
I think the majority of people want everything. But like I'm in the mindset where if I'm the consumer or I'm trying to sell to a new audience and you have all these stipulations attached to, like, if you're a D2 player, you get all this stuff. That turns off a player that's trying to get into D3 for the first time that has not played D1 or D2. I said that before, and I just think it's easier and it makes more sense for them as a company just to start over.
It does for them. I don't want to talk about what's easy for Bungie, though.
Yeah.
We got to think about what's marketable and what's going to bring back the casual and hardcore together.
To kind of expand on his point, if a new player wants to maybe start getting invested into Destiny and there is no Destiny 3, they just see like, all right, Forsaken came out and then a whole bunch of annual pass stuff. And then there's like another expansion that came out. They just see like Destiny 2, expansion, content drop, expansion. And they're like, like I'd be trying to go in way too deep. And like, there's too much stuff there. I don't want to, but
That's a good
Destiny
point.
3 comes out, fresh start. It's like, okay, I could start at the beginning like everybody else. I can be on the same page as everyone else, no matter what their progress was. If I'm new, I can kind of catch up and learn everything. That's something I did with Battle for Azeroth. Is I played Legion a little bit, but I didn't really want to get too invested because I knew how far behind I was and like all the new things that came out, and I didn't want to try to keep up with the dedicated audience already. But then BFA comes around, and I'm like, okay, now we're all equals. We can all learn together, and it's a much easier time when you're learning things with the entire community as opposed to trying to go learn things by yourself.
And that's a real thing. Like I understand what you're talking about, and I understand why people want all their stuff back. But even right now, even in Forsaken, like Sydney Goodman, I try to get her to play Destiny, and she doesn't play because she's already too behind in Forsaken.
Yeah.
In
It's
Forsaken,
like it's been a few weeks.
yeah. Like it is a real mindset. And I think just like the fresh start D3, everyone starts over, nothing's attached. I think that is more appealing to a wider audience. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
I would
that's
agree.
fair.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
fair. I think they might have to do that.
yeah, last thing I'll say, I think it's more the quality of life things. Like there's a lot of stuff between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 that they made that were changes that were kind of good, but then it's like they forgot some of the deeper mechanics. So I think that definitely you want to have a lot of what's in Destiny 1 in Destiny 2, a lot of, like you said, like Triumph books and all that stuff in Destiny 2. But then, yeah, even maybe a little bit more deeper customization, like even the, blanking on it, the skill trees. The skill trees, like I think that to me feels like a little bit of a misstep for Destiny 2 because I think it removed the customization. Like it was a nice entry point, but it needs to be maybe a little bit more customizable, or there needs to be, some perks or something that allow you to do different things in that regard.
If you saw the Anthem customization stream that they did yesterday versus the customization
pieces of
options
it.
in Destiny,
I know.
it is
Yeah,
It's night and day.
It is, and again, I understand why. I know some of it again was to not overwhelm people, because it is overwhelming. Like even when you jump into Destiny 2 right now, when you're loading up all the different things and the triumphs and then your mods and all the rest of that stuff, to actually understand it, and it's always unfortunately a little bit convoluted, which is the reason why I liked, Steve and I've talked about this too, the Destiny 1 stat when you have int strength and there's actual physical numbers, not it reduces this by 25%. Like what does that mean to me?
Bungie's afraid of numbers.
I don't know
They're
why.
just afraid of like
don't
telling people
know
exactly what. Well, I've spoken with a couple of them, and they like to go on the feel factor, right? Like, does this gun feel good to use? Then you should use it. I was like, it would feel nice knowing what this did.
Number, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm not saying it's bad, but I think those are the things where, yeah, if I'm stacking mods, I want to know that it's actually doing something, not some random arbitrary thing. Oh, it doesn't, your intellect discipline strength doesn't go over 300. How would I know that? I wouldn't know that if you didn't tell me. And so I hope they're a little bit more transparent on some of those details.
I just want to chime in. Do you play Warframe, Datto?
I've tried to dive in every now and then, but like I'm slightly familiar with it, but I don't actively play now.
Okay. Now, I might be wrong about this, but I don't think PvP is a big factor in Warframe. I think it's
not a whole lot.
It's all PvE. And then you guys were talking about Anthem just a few seconds ago. What those games have in common is it's heavily focused in PvE. Destiny has always had a problem with breaking something in PvE and vice versa to PvP. I think if they heavily just lean into PvE, we can have all these customizations, all these mods, all these like subclass clusters. If you have all that, you potentially just break the crap out of PvP, right?
Yeah.
And that, I think, along with balancing between casual and hardcore, has always been Destiny's problem.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm a huge PvP fan.
Yeah.
But in Destiny 3, I hope they just go all deep in PvE.
So there's a
That
way
is also an unpopular opinion, by the way.
Yeah.
There is a way to do that without separating the two, I think.
Without
can-
separating it?
Correct. You
Okay.
could just have separate progression in PvP. I mean, there are design options there. That's just one that isn't necessarily good, but there are ways that you can do that. The special sauce about Destiny is, though, that all of your progress sort of helps
That's
you there.
intertwined, yeah.
It's
And-
like
Yeah.
in Final Fantasy VII, like the fantasy would have been like leveling up your character and then fighting somebody else.
Thanks, Fran.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's like I love that you can grind for a gun in PvE and then bring it over to PvP and use it, vice versa. But it's just like it's hard for me to see how they could balance a game. And like Thunderlord is amazing in PvE. That's a bad example.
Good
Like
in PvP too.
Yeah.
but it's just like I don't understand. Like if you could somehow spec your subclass to like Night Stalker tether with like the DOT smoke that the Spectral Blades has, and like a bunch of other stuff, I feel like it would be way too overpowered in PvP.
Oh, if you like broke apart all the different
Yeah, and if
subclasses
you
and
could,
you
like,
could rearrange them.
like,
Oh yeah, some
yeah.
things would be absolutely broken.
Yeah, and it's just like that is the problem. I think Bungie is always treading along, and I don't understand how you can do that with a game that's so ambitious in PvP and PvE.